veins. Mackie and Judd on SKOR North and SKORNorth.com.
Move to the NFL and the always debatable status of Kirk Cousins. The Vikings quarterback is slated to make a guaranteed, get this, $35 million in the final year of his deal and has reportedly refused to renegotiate down. Earlier this week, Judd Zulgad of SKOR North reported that the Panthers have called the Vikings about making a deal for Cousins, but the Vikings have said no, at least for now. Tone, should the Vikes keep or trade Kirk Cousins?
Well, he came close on your name, but maybe you should just be Zulgad.
Patrick calls me that, right?
Yeah.
I think Patrick I think he says Zulgad as well. I'm pretty sure, right, Declan?
Does he emphasize the God part, though?
Yeah.
He doesn't drag it out as much as Wilbon did there, but I think he does. But I love this one of SKOR North.
Yeah, he had some disdain in his voice.
There was the North.
I have a feeling that on the prompter, because, I'm sure they didn't put SKOR. I'm sure they spelt out the actual word of SKOR, so they knew what it was. And they had a dash of North, and he was probably also not familiar. Like SKOR North. Like, I don't know if it was the disdain, but yes.
And North might have come up like second on the thing.
Yes.
It was almost like he was reading it in its
SKOR.
SKOR.
Yeah.
North.
It's also a little weird. I get it. It's not your typical like sports radio, local sports media name. It's not the Ticket or the Sports Animal or the Fan, right? Like how many fans are there in the country? How many tickets are there in the country? We're a little different. Here.
I'd like a name like that. What could we be like? The Bleachers.
The Sports Beast.
I mean, I'm just saying, Judd Zulgad of the Beast.
The Afternoon Drive. Yeah.
I mean, Phil Mackey was in the clubhouse this week in Charlotte. You were in the clubhouse.
So if I'm the CEO of Vikings Twitter, are you the god of Vikings Twitter? Are you above me?
Oh, God.
I saw that on Twitter. No, I don't think so. Like
I think you are. I think you're above me. You're the Zulgad of Vikings Twitter.
But I mean, is that like a title?
Surly Prophet. We've given you Surly Prophet before.
The Surly Prophet. Yeah. The Prophet of Suds from Surly. I like that idea.
People wondering. It's Feedback Friday, by the way, here on Mackie and Judd. Daily Minnesota sports, entertainment, therapy, whatever you want it to be. People asking, how did you become CEO of Vikings Twitter? Was there a vote? Yeah, the Vikings Twitter board of directors. They just,
I was there for it. It took place. I counted the votes.
And we're looking, now that you've made national headlines, now that you've been referenced on one of the legendary and highest rated national TV sports shows, I feel like if you're not the sports, the god of Vikings Twitter, we do have some executive vice president positions that we're looking to open up and fill here as part of our cabinet, our leadership cabinet.
I would like to apply.
Okay. Well, let's start with this one here. Feedback Friday. You can always send us messages and takes and theories or criticisms through the SKOR North app. It's free to download. It's a central hub for everything we do. We also check our Twitter and Instagram messages and TikTok. SKOR North TikTok up to almost 5,000 followers. YouTube. Leonard Anderson via the SKOR app. You seem to be overlooking one explosive wide receiver that I am certain KOC and his staff have identified as being the number 2 wideout. This might be a little aggressive. Runs really good routes, plus is the fastest receiver on the team, has been grossly neglected. I'm talking about Smith-Marsette. Interesting. I love me some Smith-Marsette. Let's hear him out here.
Speed. Yeah, okay, keep going.
Smith-Marsette, JJ, Osborne, Thielen gives KOC a potent 12 personnel using JJ and Smith-Marsette the same way, mid to deep passes, motioning those guys out of the backfield. In the slot, out wide, they're versatile. And Thielen and Osborne can work one-on-one against linebackers or free safeties in the shorter ranges, as well as exploiting the defense with Irv Smith Jr. He's got me excited for these weapons here. This receiving core with KOC will be a matchup nightmare for defenses. What do you guys think? I mean,
I like that.
They've got amazing weapons.
I mean, okay, so I guess my only beef at all with that entire thing is saying that Smith-Marsette is being overlooked by us as the number 2 guy. Like, I don't see that yet. And I'm not saying
a little aggressive.
He can't be, but I mean, he's definitely not going to come to training camp in that role. That being said, the rest of what he wrote, I buy that.
Dude, Smith, I mean, he only played he started one game or whatever it was, and he showed, But he's got tools. Yeah, he looked flashy and great in the offseason training camp. And I think, let's pump the brakes a little. Let's not put him, he's not the number 2 receiver.
Yeah.
Let's pump the brakes a little bit.
But
could he be a viable weapon there's so many of these guys on the team right now. I feel like Alex Madison and Dalvin Cook could be used better and more creatively in a lot of ways. Could Kene Nwangwu be used more creatively
You think?
in some ways, right? There's so many.
Yes.
This team has some absurd skill position talent,
It
was not being maximized.
If you were a 2021 Minnesota Vikings draft pick across the board, aside maybe from Darisaw, and this might be true for Christian as well, we don't know. You were held hostage.
Yeah.
Like that, it's that simple. You spent your rookie season on the back of a milk carton.
Blink twice if you need help.
Are you okay? I am enjoying my time with the Minnesota Vikings. I am fine. I'm getting the football occasionally. I mean, yes.
Dude,
I'm so curious to see that group of players, and some of them might stink. I don't know, but at least unleashed, given a chance.
Imagine, just real quick here. Did Nwangwu run a 4.3? I'm going to look this up real quick here. Yeah, he ran a 4.3 40.
Return 2 kickoffs.
Imagine drafting a guy that ran a 4.3 40-yard dash, is already one of the best kick returners in the NFL.
Yes.
And they gave him the ball all season, okay? They gave him the ball 17 times offensively. You can't find 40 touches, 45 touches for that guy?
They gave him the ball and asked him to run it as a traditional running back too.
Right up the A gap.
Go up the gap. Do just what?
A dive.
What is that? How do you as a football coach in this era see a guy return 2 kickoffs for touchdowns? Dude. I mean, most guys don't even try and return kicks now, okay? Yeah. He returns 2 for touchdowns, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's good. Thanks.
Bonkers. Yep.
So held hostage.
The next one, some of these kind of weave together here just about maximizing the offense, and whether Kirk's the quarterback or somebody else, there's just a lot more creativity that can be squeezed out of this offense. Nick Hapola via the SKOR North app says, can you guys talk about Wes Phillips a bit? He's the new Vikings offensive coordinator. He was introduced along with the other coordinators yesterday. I watched his press conference on Thursday, and wow, I was very impressed. He gets it. He will absolutely be a head coach the year after the Vikings make the playoffs next. You can write that down. Yeah, I also like what I heard from Wes Phillips. He's got those bloodlines too, man. He's got the Bum Phillips, Wade Phillips.
I loved Bum.
Mm-hmm.
I loved Bum, man. Cowboy hats. He was fantastic.
But Wes Phillips, unlike Bum, and maybe Wade to some extent, a little more new school. A little more new school in his thinking. And he's coming over from that Rams infrastructure. So you've got Rams offensive minds coming in here to run this show, and I'm also excited about it. I think he's got some potential here. Now, Kevin O'Connell's the real offensive mind.
I was going to say that, yeah,
right?
That's the question. Exactly.
Excited to be in a football town, too. Did you that he's excited to be in a football town.
Well, you know what? He's right, though. He is coming from a place that for the most part, doesn't give a crap about that team.
Yeah.
Los Angeles they didn't have a NFL team for 20 plus years. There's a reason why they didn't.
25 years. Yeah.
There's a reason why they don't give a crap.
Yeah.
So he's not wrong.
Let's see here. Tyrell Adams via the SKOR North app. Wow, I'm amazed by our new defensive coordinator as well, Ed Donatel. After listening to his press briefing yesterday, I can see why they picked him. He sounds just like Kevin O'Connell, but even a little bit better. We are building a juggernaut here, I think. Just need to dump Kirk Cousins. I don't care if we trade all the veterans. Write this down. Write that. By the way, these write that down predictions. I'm sorry, they don't count unless you're, on the show. We used to open up for anyone to send them in, and it just became impossible to manage. But we will definitely throw the off the record ones out, and you can celebrate them. They're not going to count for the standings. He says, I don't care who our quarterback is. We will make the playoffs next year. Rick left us a little more in the cupboard than Judd thinks. So he's high on Donatel and thinks there's a better roster here than you think.
Well, hold on a second though. I'm the guy who continues to say that Mike basically wouldn't play Rick's guys. So
Yeah, but
I
you
don't
also
know.
think they should hit the
I
nuke
would
button and tank next year.
on the veterans. I don't think they should tank. No, that's a mischaracterization of what I've said. No, I've said reset.
kind of on-
I've said reset, and I've said now is the time to move on from veterans. No, I want to
Declan,
find out.
do you think Judd wants the Vikings to tank? Deep
I've
down
said
inside?
reset. If I have said reset
But what
over
is-
and over, I have not.
But you're just
said,
changing the word. You're just
No,
you're
I'm
you're,
not.
you're reframing the word from
Tank means you
tanking
lose
to
a-
reset.
No, tank means that you lose on.
We're not
purpose.
breaking up. We're on a break. You know.
No.
we're-
No, tank means no. A reset is therapy. Tanking
Okay.
is divorce. I don't want this team to purposely be. I think that this team actually might have a pretty fun year because people are going to enjoy themselves again and play
I
football.
agree with that.
Like I want. What I want is there are elements of this locker room that probably go well beyond the much vilified quarterback that I wouldn't mind seeing eliminated in the name of the new culture. But I just keep coming back to this. You can't continue like the Vikings have done to talk about culture, which I'm fine with. Culture changes. You can't do that and then like draw a line at moves. Well, we can't make those moves. No, if
Yeah.
you're really going to change your culture, you got to change your culture. And that
Yeah.
means we're diving into the deep end of that pool and getting rid of some people.
Listener,
here's a- sorry,
yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. Phil.
No.
Me? I'll go. I'll go.
I'm just going to bow
I'll go.
out right now.
Yeah. You worry about resetting and tanking. DJ, who was on Vikings Vent Line last week on our Purple Daily channel, our first offseason edition, by the way, if you want to come on Vent Line, shoot me an email, vikingsventline@gmail.com. The offseason one returns. DJ brought up a great point, a new listener to Vikings Vent Line, that over the last two drafts, right, the Vikings, I think, have drafted the most players in the last two drafts. And
Yeah.
it seems like the immediate reaction, which is sometimes an overreaction after the draft from the experts, is, wow, did you see the draft the Vikings had? They got skill position players on day 2 and 3, and they hit home runs in the first round.
Yeah.
But then, well, where the hell are they? Like, and if this new staff is coming in, can they milk something more out of that? Because I don't think it was Spielman just throwing darts against the wall and saying,
Yes.
"Oh, I guess we have a bunch of picks." Can you maximize those draft picks and get more out of the roster than the previous regime was doing?
I'm so glad you brought this up. And again, none of this is to say that Rick Spielman was actually this amazing GM that it was time for a change. So I just want to preface what I'm about to say with that. But Declan's right, and the feedback we just got there was right, that while the drafts were happening, there was some like, okay, classic trading back, acquiring more picks, but there were some players that the Vikings were grabbing, and Wyatt Davis is probably the poster boy for this, right? Kellen Mond. And the Vikings also, over the last few years, have spent a lot of draft capital, first and second round picks on offensive linemen. Ezra Cleveland and Garrett Bradbury was a first round pick. And I just wonder, especially the last 4 or 5 years, about Mike Zimmer all the way down to the offensive coaching staff, the development of some of these guys, or the flat out, straight up ignoring of some of these players.
Yeah, I don't think there was development.
Like if you were to put Brian O'Neill, so first and second round picks, Brian O'Neill, Christian Darrisaw, Ezra Cleveland, and Garrett Bradbury, and then whoever you play at right guard, under the tutelage for the last 2 years of somebody else. The Rams. Let's say the Rams. Would that offensive line be better? I think the answer is yes. I think if you were to put Wyatt Davis under the tutelage of someone else throughout the offseason, would he have played in a game with the Rams or somebody else? Yes, I think so.
Well, you don't give up on a guy completely and essentially ostracize him because he is a guard who comes in fat. Okay, guards get fat. It's your job to coach them. It's your job.
Lean.
Well, it's no. Mike was very intent on spending at least this past year punishing Rick and ergo Rick's kids. Like he just crapped on that draft class and to not come up with creative ways and creative ideas and to continue to bang your head against the wall because damn it, this is how I coach. That's not old school. That's just stupid.
Yeah. Speaking of old school, here's a quote from 65-year-old new defensive coordinator Ed Donatel. He's the same age as Mike Zimmer, and he helped, along with Vic Fangio, craft the third best defense in the NFL statistically last year in Denver. He said, quote, I listen to young people. I put energy into learning from them. People say these kids have changed. People have been changing since the beginning of time. It's our job as leaders to work to relate to them. That is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Give me some Ed Donatel, baby.
Well, and I like Ed. The thing now is we have to see that follow through on. That's why I'm very much a wait and see guy here. I'm very much a wait and see guy. I like everything I'm hearing. Now I want to see it in action. And if we do, I think things will begin to change. They won't change, I don't think, in 1 year, but there will definitely be a different atmosphere at TCO Performance Center.
And that, folks, if you are new to the show and you think these guys just agree on Kirk Cousins, they're just teaming up and they're just a Kirk Cousins hate gang. You know, we've been doing a show together for like 8 years, and we argue a lot. We just have happened to agree on maybe the most like polarizing topic in the 8 years that we've done a show. We agree on it. Where we disagree the most is Judd is wait and see guy. And Declan probably falls into this category with me. I will dive into the Kool-Aid hot tub, and I will guzzle the Kool-Aid from now until the Vikings prove at some point that they're not worthy of it. So that's going to be the tug of war where I think you're going to be pulling the reins back here, and I'm going to be like, no, dude, this is great. Ed Donatel, Hall of Fame.
A man shows his faults only when the pressure is on.
Nope. So we'll have to wait. Dustin Swenson via the YouTube comment section says, love the aggressive culture you guys are putting out there for us fans that are tired and bored with good, not great. Let's show that gritty warrior culture of the Vikings and not the teeth-clenching oh no attitude. Love it.
Yes.
And then Notorious Nate, along the same lines on Twitter, says, I've become convinced that there is not a fan base in the NFL more content with mediocrity than ours, the Vikings. Vikings fans, and specifically Cousins Crusaders, continually astonish me with how happy they are to pay $45 million to a guy, to the cap, just to finish with 7 wins year after year. And we're not haters. We want championships around here. Let's set the bar.
I would reframe that a little bit, though. I don't think it's that they're necessarily completely content with being good, not great. I think that the fear that the fan base has is exactly what the fear that the Wolves have, of who, of course, are huge fans, which is of being bad. So, like, it's like, oh, my God, but what happens if we only win 4 games? What's going to happen? Well, guess what? The sun is going to come up tomorrow, and you're going to get a high draft pick.
Yeah.
But that's what – so I don't think it's like this. I want to win 9 or 10 games, and that's great. I think it's, well, we win 9 or 10 games, and what if we won 3 games? And I would say that unless you think you are destined to be the Lions and just be crap for 50 years, that you are going to use that as a springboard to success.
Our next comment here is presented by our friends at Federated Mutual Insurance Company. You know, offensive line is a good thing to have if you feel comfortable. That's pretty much what Federated provides for your business. Strong risk management protection. They can help take your business to another level. Find out more about the great people at Federated at federatedinsurance.com. And remember, at Federated, it's our business to protect yours. Next one comes from Vikings fan on Twitter. As someone who has done the panchakarma cleanse myself.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
Oh, whoa. I got questions.
And belongs to an Indian faith community, it's the real deal. Aaron Rodgers was probably feeling high as hell when he wrote that Instagram post because that's how it feels when you're done with the PK cleanse. It's profound how good you feel afterwards. No joke, and a very long Indian cleansing tradition.
Oh my God, I have so many questions for this
Judd,
person.
when are you going to do it for the show?
I looked up the prices. If somebody pays for it, I might do it, but it is
what does it
expensive.
Cost?
I think I found $700 a day.
What?
Like
a day?
Yeah, it's ridiculously expensive.
What?
But it involves
it's 8 steps, isn't it? 9 steps? What is
It's
it?
6 steps.
It's
meditation being the 6th step.
I found on Google. I found it, and it's incredibly expensive. And it's like oils and massage. It's like a bunch of different things, but it is not cheap. But my only question. So I've got questions though. So if you spend a day throwing up, though, like that seems to me
I did that last week. It was awful.
Right. So like, what's the
I think, but it's not about like how you feel while you're throwing up. It's and again
how you come out of it feeling.
I've
I know
never done
that.
one, but it's at the end of this run.
Right.
You've cleansed your body of toxins and
can I skip any
build up.
steps?
And I don't think you can replace step 3
Yeah,
with drinking Surly all day.
Well,
John.
like I'll
Sorry.
cleanse my. I'll cleanse my body, but I don't want to do all the meditative stuff. I don't want to do all of that.
You don't want to feel centered. I don't want
like
to do
I'll
all that stuff where I quiet my mind and feel
yeah,
centered.
I don't want to do that. I got plans.
Screw
But I
that.
mean, I would do. I have a lot of questions. It piques my curiosity. I will say that in a weird way.
By the way, if anyone wants to undergo a PK cleanse and document it for Score North,
Well.
Purple Daily Magazine, Judd, and
I might be wrong
happily
on the
take
price.
content.
Like if I could find a cheap one. Hey, we got a deal, panchakarma cleanse.
You know what?
Panchakarma
I'd
cleanse.
say, if you're going to
half
commit to a
off.
panchakarma cleanse, there's certain things you don't skimp on. Don't buy cheap toilet paper. Don't stay in
Right.
cheap hotels, and don't buy the cheap panchakarma cleanse package. Okay.
Don't take rail alcohol. Yeah, this is a whole thing.
Everything must go, including the panchakarma cleanse. 75% off only today.
Nate Lehman via the Score North app says, "My name is Nate. I'm a relatively new listener. Started at the beginning of this past season. I was getting bored with K-Fan and the condescending tone of some of their hosts when people would call into their vent line. Love your guys' show and the realness you display, not being naive to the reality of where the Vikings are as a franchise. I listen to all your shows via YouTube or Apple Podcasts, but if it would help you guys get better numbers, I can switch over to the Score North app and start watching all your content from there. Let me know." First of all, thank you, Nate, for discovering
mail.
us here. Appreciate it. I mean, you can listen and watch wherever. It all counts the same for us. The Score North app is great because it's a central hub and it's where we engage the most with Feedback Friday and whatnot. But it's up to you, man. If you listen, we just want you to listen and watch and engage. Hashtag engage.
Yep.
Be
Hashtag
part
engagement.
of this. Be part of this club, this community, and thank you, Nate.
Glad you found us.
David Wenner via Twitter says, "Love your podcast. It's my go-to Vikings podcast. You guys spend a lot of time on the offense and Cousins. Can we have some discussion about the 3-4 defense and how it looks with guys on our roster? Can Tomlinson play defensive end? Would bringing Barr back be a good idea? What's your general feeling about guys you feel confident are going to work that are currently on this roster in that 3-4?
Well, so Ed mentioned in his press conference yesterday that he expects that Daniil can play, not surprisingly, defensive end in a 4-3, and then when they become multiple, as we like to say in football, and when they go multiple, so sometimes it's a 4-3 with a nickel package.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I had it.
No, the fans
works,
loved
though.
the fans
Still works,
loved
though.
it. The fans loved it. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I give you the 3-4 defense.
34.
Daniil can move to the linebacker position in that case, and if Daniil's on board, I think it's great. Like I think he'll be fantastic. If they keep him, I'm curious to see Michael Pierce as the nose tackle. He is an ideal 3-4 because he's just a mammoth human being.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's perfect. Actually, if they're playing 3-4, Dalvin can play an outside spot. Yeah. Now that's assuming that both Pierce and Tomlinson are back. Contractually, I'm not sure that they both are, but if they are, I think they fit.
I think Tomlinson's back for sure.
I have more questions about linebacker, the plan for Kendricks there. I wonder, and this is going to rub a lot of fans the wrong way, but given the fact that Kevin O'Connell brought him up at his introductory press conference, I wonder if they are going to get Anthony Barr back on the cheap. Because Anthony Barr, I mean, we talked about this, Phil,
I'm fine with that.
Years ago. Anthony Barr in a 3-4 where he can rush would appear to be, and it's appear, no guarantees, would appear to be a fit. And it's interesting that O'Connell decided to drop his name in. So I think as far as the front goes, my question would be, what's Armin Watt's role? Who would be the right end in the 3-4? I don't know the answer to that question. And what would you do to, when you're in the 3-4, fill out the rest of the linebackers?
Yeah. This is linebacker is one of the weakest position units in terms of depth.
Can I get a football, please?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you can.
Can I get a football? Thank you. Yeah. 34, 43 over front. Great stuff.
Over front. There you go.
Football.
That's a good one.
Thank you.
Matt Johnson. Let's see here. Wait a second. Okay. This is actually a Judd's Hockey Show tweak here. He's wondering. Matt Johnson via the SKOR North episode. In my opinion, SKOR North has always taken a more big picture view on sports and more specifically mental health in sports. For you guys to do a 36-minute post-game wild show that highlighted Kaprizov's poor play but never once mentioned the situation in Russia that's happening right now feels like an oversight. His entire family, girlfriend, etc., are currently over there, and one would have to think that at least deserves some consideration regarding his play. I'm not saying this is why he had an off day, but it feels like an issue that should be talked about. Yeah, I mean, that's... By the way, Ovechkin was kept away from the media yesterday.
And Ovechkin's a Putin supporter.
Yes.
Okay.
Panarin hates Putin.
And I believe Kirill's the CSKA Moscow team that Kirill played in the KHL. I believe Putin is involved with
Okay.
the team that he played in the
It's so
KHL.
hard to know how he feels about
I'm going to say this.
And
any of
that's
this.
where I personally, because Judd and I actually talked about this off mic yesterday when we finished the show, because I think we saw that exact comment, and I kind of just backed off and said, you know what, like I just can't, I don't know, like I can't make that assumption of what he feels like, and I don't think I'm right to speak on what he's thinking about going into that situation.
Kirill's 25-ish, right?
Yeah.
25. Okay. I need before I broach that, I need him to be made available to us to talk about how he feels. Like I'm speculating. He might not give a damn. I don't know. Like I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean,
so
like you have to. Yeah,
I would
you're
need
gonna
to
talk. You're
hear
gonna
from
talk
the
about how he
player.
plays. I mean,
but if he comes out and says I'm mind bleeped, I'll talk about that in a second.
yeah,
Like if he's like, there's stuff going on at home that has distracted me. That's a talker right there, and that's cool. But I find it frustrating that I'm supposed to give adults the benefit of the doubt on something that I have no idea if they care.
yeah.
I'm guessing he does, but I don't know. So
yeah.
not trying to be insensitive.
Glenn Veter via the SKOR North app says, any chance of bringing back some old segments? I really like the segment you guys had when the world first started falling apart, where you guys would explain sports stuff that was simple, but to you, but the rest of us may not know. That was
Dumb it
Declan
down.
and Rami on
Dumb it down.
SKOR North Live, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'd love to really have explained, for instance, what the real difference is between a guard and a tackle. All I know is, and there's probably a lot of casual fans that think this. All I know is where they are on the line, but do they do the same thing? I don't know. I hear you guys talk about. It seems like tackle is more important. Put a pin in that. Come back to that in a second. I'd love if you brought back Buffoon of the Week, quarterback cesspool as well. Quarterback cesspool was great, but it
kind of ran its
It's
course.
a lot of work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Buffoon of the week is good.
Buffoon of the week is great.
I'd
Clown
bring
of the
that
week.
back. Yeah,
Clown of the week. Want
should
someone
do
his
that.
ass fired during the NFL season is great. We can kind of morph that one, I think, into Buffoon of
Clown
the
of the
week.
week.
Then we can make it all encompassing.
Yeah. So, all right, the guard and tackle. So tackles have a much greater responsibility on the edge against more athletic defensive players. So they have to be more nimble, but also huge. They have to be bigger
They're on an island, Phil.
and nimble.
They're on an island.
And they're basically in a one-on-one matchup, sometimes even, one-on-two and have to pick. They're in a one-on-one matchup against 260-pound edge-rushing machines. Guards, it's all more compact. You're usually operating in a smaller area, and it's a little bit more hand fighting. And then, of course, some of this is going to differ between like what your blocking scheme is, right? If it's a zone,
And are you getting chip help?
a lot of
'Cause,
football
I mean,
terms happening.
If
here.
you're getting chip help, from a tight end or a back, that's going to help the tackle out as well. I mean, I need chip help.
If it's a zone blocking scheme in the run game, then you're going to need guys who can get out in space quicker, more nimble.
Oh, pull.
Okay,
Oh, God, out in space.
right.
A quick jam.
So there are
Yeah, hand
quite a
fighting.
few
Hand fighting.
differences. All right.